What's going on? So this is the second part of the Mastermind Masterclass by Napoleon Hill. So this is me finishing this out. It is about a little shy of an hour left of this video. So I'm gonna get right into it. If you haven't seen part one should be in my list of videos. So I'm going to get right into this and finish this off.
We come now to the ninth visit, where we shall analyze the ninth principle of success, which is personal initiative. Personal initiative is the dynamo which starts the faculty of imagination into action, in the process of translating one's definite major purpose into its physical or financial equivalent. If you aim for success above mediocrity, you will need to learn to act on your own personal initiative, because your success is something which you must achieve for yourself without someone telling you what to do or how to do it. Incidentally, Cyrus H.K. Curtis, the former owner of the Saturday Evening Post and one of my collaborators in organizing the Science of Success philosophy, was responsible for a motto on personal initiative of such great importance that I want you to have it. Said he, there are two kinds of men who never amount to much: those who cannot do as they are told, and those who can do nothing else. Of course, Mr. Curtis's implication is very clear. He implies that those who amount to something worthwhile in life are those who move on their own personal initiative without being told what to do or why they should do it. The men who stand out in the minds of the public as the greatest successes from the days of George Washington on to the present are those who chose their own occupation, business, or profession and moved on their own personal initiative in achieving their purpose. And those who are getting ahead most rapidly today, no matter in what position they began, are those who promote themselves to a higher place in life by acting on their own personal initiative. The habit of personal initiative not only inspires one to move on his own responsibility, but it also influences him to carry through until he completes that which he undertakes in a manner pleasing to all concerned, because he knows that a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. And right here is an appropriate place to say something I perhaps should have said before, namely, that a big success is made up of a great number of little circumstances, each of which is so small and seemingly insignificant that most people pass it by as not worthy of notice. Some may think, for example, that the habit of personal initiative is unimportant, but we have only to take a look at the record of some of our greatest successes to recognize that personal initiative was an important factor without which they never would have achieved success. For example, no one told F.W. Woolworth to start a 5 and 10 cent store. The idea was his own. He acted on his own personal initiative in putting his idea into action and lived to see it yield him a fortune well above $100 million. My distinguished business associate, W. Clement Stone, started his insurance business on his own personal initiative with an operating capital of only $100. But he followed through on that same personal initiative and made his humble beginning yield an annual gross income of many millions of dollars. And it was that same habit of acting on his own personal initiative, of doing the thing he wanted to do, which inspired Mr. Stone to join forces with me in taking the Science of Success philosophy to millions of people throughout the world, an undertaking which it is believed may help more people to find their places in the world than has any other influence during the past 100 years. The habit of personal initiative was the chief trait which helped Henry J. Kaiser to build a great industrial empire and raise himself to a high position in the industrial world. It was this trait of personal initiative which inspired Mr. Kaiser to pile up such an enormous record in the building of ships during World War II, despite the fact that he had never built ships before. One day when I was lecturing to one of my classes, I mentioned Henry J. Kaiser's wonderful record in building ships more cheaply and quickly than experienced shipbuilders had been able to do. When one of my students spoke up and said, Mr. Kaiser's having been a friend of Jesse Jones of the Federal Reserve Bank did not hurt his chances of success in it, did it? Well, for a moment it looked as if that question had placed me on the spot. But I soon recovered my composure and came back with this reply. No, his knowing Mr. Jones did not hurt his chances, but think of the thousands of industrialists, many of whom may also have known Mr. Jones, but did not use their personal initiative in getting his financial help. Personal initiative is one quality which inspires one to form friendships and to make contact with people who can be of aid to them in times of need. It was my personal initiative which influenced Andrew Carnegie to give me an opportunity to organize the Science of Success philosophy. I now wish to give you an outline of the more important attributes of the person who has sufficient personal initiative to give him leadership in his chosen occupation. 1. First of all, the person who follows the habit of personal initiative has a definite major purpose in life and a plan for its attainment. 2. And a mastermind alliance with those whose help is essential in achieving his major purpose. 3. He has the necessary persistence and the will to win to carry him along when the going is hard and he meets with obstacles. 4. He makes decisions promptly when he has the necessary facts on which to base them and changes them slowly, if at all. 5. He follows the habit of doing more than he is paid for, and he does so in a pleasing, positive mental attitude. 6. He accepts full responsibility for everything he undertakes and never passes the buck when things go wrong. 7. He can take friendly criticism without resentment because he has learned to profit by it. 8. He knows what the 9 basic motives are which inspire all human endeavors and never requests anyone to do anything for him without giving that person an adequate motive for doing so. 9. He never expresses an opinion about anything unless he has thought the subject through and is prepared to state how he came by his opinion. 10. He follows the habit of listening much and talking only when he has something to say which may benefit himself or others. 11. He has a well-developed sense of observation of small details and knows his job from the smallest detail to the greatest. 12. He never tells anyone to do anything without suggesting why it should be done and how it may be done best. 13. He follows the habit of concentrating his full attention on one thing at a time. 14. His mental attitude is positive at all times when he is in communication with other people. 15. If you ask him a question, he will give you a direct answer, even if he has to tell you he does not know the correct answer. 16. Last, but perhaps most important of all, he never puts off until tomorrow that which should have been done last week, because he knows that the habit of procrastination is near the top of the list of the causes of failure. If you can rate OK on each of these 16 traits of personal initiative, you are a leader in your field of endeavor. When you come to examine yourself on the subject of personal initiative, just remember that your success or your failure depends very largely on the action you take in connection with your occupation. No one will tell you what you should do. No one will tell you what not to do. The decision must be your own.
So he's talking about how to have good moral standing character in your particular profession. This is helpful if you're a leader, like you're a manager, an executive, or you are an entry level worker. A lot of times, I could say that if I would have known about this when I was younger, I would have gotten more ahead in life. As far as working jobs, like I remember when I was working at UPS, I was applying to be a supervisor, and I just didn't have this type of work ethic where, basically I go above and beyond with good moral standing, character, and a good mindset, and accept all faults or responsibilities, and just keep it going. I remember when I was applying to be a supervisor at UPS, someone gave me some bad criticism, and I didn't even take it correctly. I took it just naturally how most people would take it, as no, you're wrong, and giving all kind of excuses. And I definitely didn't even go above and beyond. That's sometimes sometimes I've done that in life. I've usually do that, I would even say, but it's been times that I've slacked off from that. But what if I had that as a foundation? What if I was, what if I would have known about this 20 years ago? Is the question that I ponder for myself. And if you are younger watching this, this is something that's helpful for you to have better ethics, a better foundation for you possibly to get ahead in your career or even in business. Because if you one of the two things that I know about business, if I don't know nothing else about business, you got two things in business. You got whatever product or service that you're selling. If it's very high quality, people are gonna want to buy it. People are gonna want to purchase it. And the second thing is, and this is what's lacking. This is another reason why I'm doing this video. This is what most people are lacking: substantial, above par customer service. Most people lack with the second part in business, because most times people don't have an employee. That will give that good customer service. They will have, you can have a restaurant where it's some good food, and people love the food, but what do they complain about? They complain about the customer service. It's the customer service is subpar. The wait is too long. Anything that you have as far as businesses, you can have a good product or service that you're selling. You can even have a franchise where everybody knows, okay, if I go to Red Lobster and I get the ultimate feast, that what that's gonna come with the biscuits, the cheddar bay biscuits, the shrimp and everything, the salads. Everybody knows that's some good place to go. You got Beyonce talking about it. All of that type of stuff. People know what Red Lobster is. But if you go to a Red Lobster and it's bad customer service, you're not going to want to go to that particular restaurant. You're not going to want to go back. So having optimal customer service is really what will put you on the edge. I would even say, and there's been cases in my business, I remember having really not what everybody else really wanted. I didn't have any new computers. I was selling computers. I didn't have any new computers. I didn't really have, all the bells and whistles as far as products. My service was pretty good, but I remember I had to do a lot of customer service optimization to basically compete. I made it to where I might not have had everything you needed at that time. I would most likely have to order stuff, but when you came in the door, no matter what your orientation was, no matter what was going on in your life, you was treated with optimal, high level customer service, and almost to the point where you getting royal treatment. You can people will come in my store. I started to notice people were coming into my store primarily because it was like a dopamine boost, because probably you don't know what people have to go through in their life. Some people, they don't have anybody that really caters to them. They even their own partner doesn't cater to them, for having to go to somebody that doesn't disrespect them, doesn't treat them like just like anybody else or whatever, to kind of almost, it's like you're kissing someone's behind when you give them that high level customer service. They get a preference to come to your business versus someone else's. So even if you don't have number one, you can have your customer service could be so good, your wait times could be so fast that people will just be like, you know what, I'm not even gonna go to that business. I know their food is good, but you know what? I might order it from DoorDash or something. I'm gonna go to this business because they always have good customer service. The wait times is minimal. I'm fed up with that other business. I still want to deal with them, but basically, I'm gonna go to this business because I know what to expect. It's no awkward. A lot of times you go to a lot of businesses. The young people working there, the customer service experience is so awkward. You just be like, it just kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth before you even get your food. um Before you even buy, walk out the door, the customer service experience is just so awkward. Just like, I mean, what the heck. So I'm gonna finish this along, but basically that's primarily what he's talking about.
And you must follow through and carry out your decision on your own personal initiative. If you work for wages or a salary, you should decide to promote yourself through your own personal initiative to the top of the scale in your occupation. And remember that your promotion is entirely in your hands. In my previous visits, I have given you a blueprint of the steps you should take in promoting yourself to whatever station in life you desire. Now, let me give you a brief review of 8 principles we have covered previously. 1. Definiteness of purpose. By now, you should know what you want most from life, and you should have a plan for getting it. Here is the most important circumstance of your whole life where you must move on your own personal initiative because no one else can tell you what you should want most. 2. The mastermind principle. If you have not already formed a friendly alliance with those who can help you in attaining your major purpose in life, you should move on your own personal initiative and form this alliance at once. 3. Going the extra mile. This is a must if your major purpose is anything above mediocrity. 4. Applied faith. This is the principle which gives you power in carrying out your definite major purpose and all minor purposes. 5. A pleasing personality is an asset of priceless value, and it too is something you must acquire through your personal initiative. 6. Self-discipline. The 6th principle of success is also something you acquire through your personal initiative. 7. A positive mental attitude, which is the most important of the 12 great riches of life, is also the product of your own personal initiative. 8. Enthusiasm is a state of mind which only you can generate through your personal initiative. You see, therefore, that personal initiative enters into every one of the success principles. And now, until our next visit, may I remind you that there are 2 types of people who never amount to anything. Those who will not do what they are told, and those who will do nothing else.
After this video, your life is never going to be the same. So I need you to stop whatever you're doing and give me your undivided attention. Okay?
500, 1,000, even 2,000 a day. I love you.
Our 10th visit brings us to one of the strangest of the 17 principles of success, because it is the principle which makes it possible for you to convert into an asset every adversity, every disappointment, every defeat, and every failure you meet with from now on the remainder of your life. Yes, the principle of learning from adversity makes it possible for you to transmute all your past failures and mistakes into an asset which will help you achieve outstanding success in the future. At the very outset of this visit, I wish to call your attention to an important fact which may give you immediate possession of the great master key to success, namely, that your positive mental attitude is the only means by which you may convert adversities, defeats, and failures into assets. It seems to have been intended that everyone should experience adversities, defeats, and even failures as a part of nature's method of disciplining people to learn how to take possession of their own minds. But the Creator very wisely provided everyone with the means for converting these experiences into benefits of a priceless value, the means being our privilege of maintaining and directing a positive mental attitude. Despite the benefits which we may get from adversities and unpleasant experiences of every nature, no one desires to meet with these experiences. A failure or defeat is just as unpleasant to me now as it was 30-odd years ago when I was learning about failures and unpleasant experiences in the great University of Hard Knocks. Yet, I would be something less than fair with you if I had neglected to tell you that my greatest blessings came from my greatest adversities. But these blessings never would have been recognized by me if I had not learned the truth that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit, which is the very hub of this visit with you. Once you learn that adversities can be made to pay dividends, you will acquire the habit of looking for that seed of an equivalent benefit in each such experience with which you meet. Come with me now, and I shall give you some examples which prove conclusively that failures, defeats, unpleasant experiences can be converted into stepping stones on which one may rise to great heights of personal achievement. My first illustration concerns a man of whom you may have heard, and I have no doubt you have eaten some of the food which he produced and marketed throughout the nation as a result of an adversity which would have stopped most men cold. The man was Milo C. Jones, who owned a small farm near Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, on which he made only a fair living until he was stricken down with double paralysis, which deprived him of every portion of his body except his brain. In this hour of his greatest adversity, Milo C. Jones used his mind, took possession of it for the first time in his life, perhaps, and out of that mind came the idea of raising hogs and converting them into little pig sausage. And on that same farm where previous to that adversity he made only a mere living, he found the seed of an equivalent benefit that compensated him for the loss of the use of his body and lived to see little pig sausage yield him a huge fortune. Isn't it strange that so often people have to be cut down by failure and defeat before they learn that they have minds capable of mastering all of their problems? Isn't it strange why Milo C. Jones did not discover the little pig sausage idea while he had a sound body? My next illustration is based on an adversity of a man whom we all know because he was President of the United States, and his name was Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was stricken in the prime of his life with polio, which destroyed the use of his legs. Instead of sitting on a street corner with a tin cup and some lead pencils, as many another might have done under similar circumstances, Franklin D. Roosevelt transmuted his affliction into a buildup of his self-reliance and lifted himself to the highest position available to mankind anywhere on this earth. Got that position and held it until he passed on. Held it longer than had any previous president. Verily, I tell you with all the enthusiasm at my command, that you may find in your adversities the necessary challenge to inspire you on to success, such as you never would have known without these experiences. I do not suggest that you look for adversities or expect to meet with them, but if you do so, just remember not to fear them. And instead of brooding over them, as most people do, let me suggest that you be different and convert them into stepping stones on which you may rise to whatever place in life you have set for yourself. 3. My next illustration is based on you and all the adversities and failures you have ever experienced. I shall not go into details because I do not know the details of any such experiences you may have met with, but this much I do know. I have brought to you in this visit the means by which you can convert all your past disappointments and all of your future adversities and failures into a seed of equivalent benefit. You can do this by the simple process of appropriating and putting to your use the 9 success principles I have given you previously. If you do not remember these 9 principles, write to me and I will tell you how to get copies of them. right here, may I remind you of the great importance of following the principle of a positive mental attitude, because this is the principle you will need most in converting unpleasant experiences into assets. 4. My next illustration involves a very intimate personal experience of my own, which began when my mother passed on. I was 8 years of age. I know that the loss of one's mother at any age usually is regarded as an irreparable loss which offers no possible benefits. But even in the loss of loved ones, we may find that there is a seed of an equivalent benefit. I found that seed in one of the most wonderful persons I have ever known, when my father brought home my new mother. It was she who inspired me to prepare myself for the opportunity I was to receive later in life, when I met Andrew Carnegie and received from him the commission to organize the world's first practical philosophy of personal success. Had it not been for the loss of my mother, I would not now be having this visit with you, and my books would not now be serving to help millions of people throughout the world to find their places in life. Just remember this about adversities. Nothing is ever so bad or so unpleasant that it may not yield some benefit if we keep a positive mental attitude toward the experience and make it a habit to look for that seed of an equivalent benefit. This, of course, involves the application of that important success principle, personal initiative. 5. Now I come to an illustration which involves our great American way of life and all the personal freedom and opportunities we enjoy under our way of life. And it begins with our defeat of the British in 1778. Probably every Britisher believed that the loss of the American colonists was an irreparable loss which offered no possible benefits. Yet, you and I know that if we had not defeated the British and made ourselves rich and powerful, the British Empire probably would have been wiped out in World Wars I or II. We know also that although the British Empire survived those two wars, it was our financial help which saved the British from starvation and bankruptcy. So, today, every Britisher should give thanks for the defeat of Lord Cornwallis's armies, because that defeat finally became the means of survival of the British Empire. 6. My next illustration brings us face to face with an adversity which involves you and I and every other person now living. An adversity from which we have not as yet availed ourselves of that seed of an equivalent benefit which is to be found in all adversities. I have reference to the trend in this and all other countries to rob individuals of their rights of personal freedom, a trend which is in direct violation of the obvious purpose of the Creator to give every individual the privilege of freedom of thought and action. There is something definite you and I can do about this common trend to rob us of our rights of personal freedom. We cannot turn it back entirely by our individual efforts, but we can and we should do something about it where it affects us individually and where we know what we can do and how we can do it. Of course, you will ask, what can I do to influence a world trend? And I shall answer by saying there is something definite that you can do. You can refuse to accept this common trend and take full possession of your own mind, thus fulfilling your personal responsibility to your Creator. Remember those two sealed envelopes I mentioned in a previous visit. One of them is labeled riches you may enjoy by taking possession of your own mind. Very well, you have a responsibility to yourself, your loved ones, your Creator, to take possession of your own mind and to direct it to ends of your own choice. This responsibility is yours and no one else can rob you of it or fulfill it for you. You also have a responsibility to your country, which has given you our great American way of life. Our great system of free enterprise, which is so designed as to provide one with every possible motive for taking possession of his own mind and writing his own ticket in life. We should remember that our benefits under the American way of life, like every other blessing we have been given at birth, it is something we can retain and enjoy only by making the fullest and best use of it. It is definitely a part of the overall plan of the universe to give man the benefit only of those blessings he recognizes, embraces, and uses constructively. Tie your arm to your side and take it out of use and nature rebels immediately by causing the arm to atrophy, wither, and become useless. Neglect to keep in contact with your friends and to cultivate them, and you lose them. Show indifference to the patrons from whom you earn your living, or the employer who pays your wages, and very soon you find yourself without a market for your services. It is an inevitable law of nature that you lose that which you do not use. And of course, this applies to the use of your own mind, the same as to everything else. And we who so often boast that we are citizens of the richest, the greatest, and the most powerful nation civilization has yet produced will do well to remember this law, through which we lose that which we do not properly use. In this visit, I have brought you what may be a surprise or even a shock by introducing this great principle of profiting by adversity. If you are ready for this principle, you will embrace it at once, and never again, as long as you live, will you brood over unpleasant experiences without knowing full well that your efforts could be better employed by searching for that seed of an equivalent benefit which is available in those experiences. Now, before I conclude this visit, I shall give you this assignment which, if you carry it out sincerely, may well bring you a new birth of opportunity such as you never dreamed of experiencing. Go back into your past experiences, study each adversity and failure you may have experienced, and look for that seed of an equivalent benefit you had not before discovered, and you may find yourself richer than you believed yourself to be. And now, until our next visit, just remember, nothing can be called failure until you accept it as such.
Time to help people customize and save with Liberty Mutual. Forgot my wallet.
We have now come to our 11th visit, where I shall present creative vision, the success principle which is responsible for the building of all of our plans, aims, and purposes. It has been said that the imagination is the workshop wherein we fashion the purposes of our brain and the ideals of our soul. I do not know of a better definition of imagination than this. There are two forms of imagination. First, there is synthetic imagination, which consists of organizing and putting together of recognized ideas, concepts, and facts arranged in a new combination. Very seldom does anyone create an idea or anything else absolutely new. Nearly everything known to civilization is but a combination of something that is old. Secondly, there is creative imagination, which operates through the sixth sense and has its base in the subconscious section of the brain and serves as the exclusive medium through which basically new ideas or facts are revealed. Let me give you some examples of synthetic imagination in action. 1. Edison's invention of the incandescent electric lamp was the creation of synthetic imagination because it was created by bringing together in a new combination two old and well-known
Lewis Lattimore helped invent that.
principles. 2. Clarence Saunders' idea on which the Piggly Wiggly store system was based was the result of synthetic imagination because he merely borrowed the self-help cafeteria plan and introduced it into the grocery store business.
So what he's saying is very important, and this is something that I've been kind of focusing on for I would say about a year or two now. One of the most powerful talents or skills that you have is your imagination. Not your delusion, but your imagination. Meaning something that you can think about or something that you can vision to better serve you and mankind. Primarily mankind. How you make money is you solve problems and you make a profit off of solving people's problems. For example, there's a lot of rivers, a lot of waterways that's full of trash and debris. Some environmentalists have created some devices to help clean up rivers, clean up waterways. They're going to charge for that. And countries, are going to pay for that. service. It's like basically anything that you can transpire to, in your mind, you can kind of bring it to a situation where it becomes reality. If you whatever you think of, try to write it down. Is what I'm saying, because writing it down makes it real. It's the first step of making something that you imagine real. So I've done that, many a times. That's how some of the things I created. I wrote it down first, and it made it something, real. Like that's how I created the Millionaire Savings Plan. I mean, of course, I use other real world examples that already exist. I basically use quite a bit of the Dave Ramsey's um, baby steps, but the Millionaire Savings Plan is unique from the actual Dave Ramsey's baby steps. It's something it's something out of my mind. It basically, from my mind, I was thinking about it one night. I was walking around. The problem was my own personal problem. I was like, why do I never have any money? I always make money. I always make, pretty good amounts of money. You know, why I can't save money? I mean, obviously my problem was saving money. And from the next night on, I start writing it down. Start writing what I was thinking in my mind. I started writing it down. Okay, well, I'm gonna do steps. Okay, step one, I'm gonna try to save $1,000. Step two, $2,000, and onward. Each step, I'm gonna get a reward. That is what came out of my mind. Okay, that was something that made something that was unique, that I helped others. I've sold my book in Europe, in the United States. Basically, I've given my book away to other people. People even online bought my book. I've helped people make money, save more money and have more opportunities. Because if you got more money than the average person, you are able to jump on an opportunity that somebody else ain't able to. So, for example, if there's some deals on a car, on something that you need, you able to just snap to it and get right to it because you got the money. Other people don't have the money. You got it. So you able to capitalize on what other people can't capitalize on, because you have the capital from saving money, because you bought a book that helped you save money from me, that came from my idea, from my mind. Okay. So that's just like kind of a real world example on how the power of imagination can get you from a lowly place in life to a high place over time. If you can scale up and keep on doing it. I never forget, it was a guy. He's called the Gat Tea Man, and he just came up with some tea. He didn't invent tea. He didn't invent anything that the tea made or whatever. Like, as far as, he didn't make some new strain of herb or nothing like that. He just gathered some herbs, and he realized these herbs help people lose weight and kind of get rid of other things as well, toxins in the body and stuff like that. And he was a very good salesman. He went to the flea market. He sold it all over the country. He made so much money selling Gat tea. Before you know it, it's in stores and everything, from this guy man's innovation. I mean, he had money before that. The Gat tea man is somebody that's in the Chicago. If you're in the Chicagoland area, you know about the Gat tea man, GAT man. He had a booth in a flea market in Swaparama in Alsip for a period of time, and he was a chef before that. He was a chef. So basically, you'll be the power of your imagination can help you overcome your problems in life. You can even create your own tools with your imagination to improve your life. That was what the Millionaire Savings Plan was for me. It was a tool to help me with my life. If it wasn't, I can hands down tell you right now, my problems would have continued onward, such as the problem of not saving money to not capitalize on opportunities. It would have continued to happen if I had not started that program myself and that plan and created that book. I would have not been able to move out of um, my sister's house and into a situation where I had a house for myself. I would have been probably just struggling, strapping to survive, just like everybody else, trying to rent an apartment in the Midwest. You can get a house. That's not a problem. A lot of people, I hate to say it, a lot of people that didn't buy real estate, that didn't buy houses, a lot of them were, in my opinion, are slow, because it's like it's very the Midwest is the out of different parts of the country, the Midwest is the lowest, other than the South is the lowest market in the country. I mean, you can and still now can get a house for less than $100,000, and for you not to even capitalize on that, you don't have the money, and you didn't save enough money to just get started, and you didn't apply it. It wasn't like, I'm not gonna say that I understand, they're not just giving away houses, but for people that have brand new cars and car notes, and car notes is like 500, 600, $700, and then they have insurance premiums where it's like $100, $200 a month. Well, that money could be used to save, to get some type of down payment on a house, or even to purchase a house cash and fix it up. You can save. You should be able to save about $50,000, and you could purchase a fixer upper in the Midwest for $50,000, hands down. Okay, that is something that you can absolutely do, even less than that. And it's like people don't take the initiative. They don't use their imagination to improve their life. It's like your brain tells you what you need to do to survive. Okay, it tells you you're hungry. It tells you you're thirsty. It tells you, okay, it's time to go to bed. Your brain will tell you what you need to do to become successful.
Message.
But despite the simplicity of the plan, it is said to have yielded its organizer $4 million during the first 4 years after it was put to work. 3. Henry Ford's first automobile was created through synthetic imagination by the simple procedure of bringing together the well-known method of transportation, the horse and buggy, and the steam-propelled thrashing machine. Both ideas were old, but it remained for Henry Ford to combine them in a new method of use, and he made himself the most distinguished industrialist of his era by his achievement, not to mention a fabulous fortune. 4. The man who dipped a hunk of ice cream in chocolate.
And I'm gonna tell you, just I'm gonna let this man rock it out. But I'm gonna tell you, the imagination of the black man and woman in the United States is what made the whole world great. Okay, I'm gonna repeat what I just said. The imagination of the black man and woman in America is what made the whole world great. Okay, right now it's summer. It's early summer. Okay, um, I'm gonna show you all of the inventions that Black people created, and I'm talking about during periods where most Black people were in poverty, are in basically abject poverty, and this was also in times where basically a lot of Black people were in slavery. Um, One of the ways that Black people were able to get out of slavery was to invent something. That's why it was so many inventions and that were created. One of the reasons, because that was a way for Black people to actually get out of slavery, invent something basically. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me just kind of pause this here, show you exactly what I'm talking about in real time, because you know, if Black people were able to create something during those times, you know, you can do leaps and bounds now. You know, you can absolutely do leaps and bounds as far as things now. Okay, for example, this is a list of let me zoom this in. This is a list of inventions that Black people created. Okay, so let me zoom this in for you. Make this bigger. Okay, see how this looks. Okay, this is big. So okay, you know, if you're racist, okay, the air conditioning unit. White people did not create that. If it wasn't for the air conditioning unit, you would be burning to a crisp, complaining and sweating, you know, opening up windows, you know, all that type of stuff. Black people, Frederick M. Jones invented the air conditioning unit. Modern air conditioning was created by a Black man. Okay. You know, I'm just going to point out the most basic stuff that's just, you know, most people don't understand, you know, that Black people created. Okay, the plasma, blood plasma, ability, you know, all of the things that come from blood plasma, Black man invented that. Okay, the bicycle frame. Okay, a baby buggy. Okay, I'm just gonna name off just, you know, just the big huge stuff, right? I mean, you could obviously have time to freeze frame this to read everything, but what about the cell phone, the car cell phone? Is that something that you know, people used to? I know I'm a Mercedes Benz guy, so I like, you know, Mercedes Benz. You know, some Mercedes Benz, they came with a cell phone in the car. Well, Henry T. Sampson, a Black man, invented that. Okay, the clothes dryer. How about a doorknob? You like to opening up a door? That, you know, elevator. It was invented by a Black man. The elevator, you know. So when you think of, see, this is why I don't really worry about racism and all that stuff and inferiority complexes and stuff like that. Not so much as, you know, other people, because I understand these truths. Lewis, like he mentioned about Thomas Edison, well, Lewis Lattimore, he invented one of the key components in the light bulb, which is the actual lamp, the actual light in the bulb, which is the filament. Lewis Lattimore invented that. Okay, he was the one that, you know, basically uh, invented that. You know, Joseph N. Jackson, he invented the female cycle indicator. in 1998. Now, I'm not sure if that's the same Joseph N. Jackson. Um, okay, what? Let me see if this guy Joseph N. Jackson. Okay, yeah. So this is the guy. He also invented. He invented the remote control. Okay, Joseph N. Jackson. Okay, he invented the actual fertility predictor. Okay, he was on a member of Black Inventors Museum. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, the fire extinguisher, gas mask, the golf tee, the guitar, hair brushes, ironing board, lawnmower, lawn sprinkler, the lock, lanterns, uh, mailbox, the mop, the motor, peanut butter. You like peanut butter? The refrigerator, spark plug, thermostat control, stove, VCR, remote timer, traffic light, tricycle. So this, the thing is that that's just a list of things. If you want to go back far to Africa, the actual modern lock, the door that was created by Africans, by black people, basically. That's the stock market is closed out for the day. Um, let's see how I did. It's just giving a little segue, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I did all right. No, I didn't. It wasn't a good day. But anyway, I'm going to continue on with this, but just understand that your imagination, it's only about 30 more minutes to go. I know this is like very boring, but success is boring to a certain degree where in order to remain successful, in order to get successful, that concept is repetitive, is day in and day out, and it is very, very boring, and it's very difficult to do, to be consistent, to be you know um constantly working, constantly self-improving. While most people are out having fun, destroying themselves, destroying their future, to be straight and narrow and be consistent on a daily basis is boring. So I mean, the thing is that, do you want to be successful in a big house, everything that you ever wanted in the house? You want to have multiple houses, you want to have whatever car you want, whatever you want. That's the trade-off to that. Where everybody else is struggling because they destroyed their life, they destroyed their future, or they made their life harder, so they have to play catch up. I'll admit I'm one of those individuals. You being younger, you can just hit the ground running, and you can basically um, inherit some of these principles in your daily life, and then you'll be successful. Where everybody else will be, looking back like, damn, how did he achieve that? And then you go tell them, okay, I pretty much took the concepts of this author, Napoleon Hill, that was born in the 1800s. Okay, died in 1970. You tell them that. Then you use other things. You use your imagination.
Placed a stick in it for a handle and called it Eskimo pie, used synthetic imagination and started a new industry which still has a widespread outlet and grosses annually a huge sum. It is safe to assume that the creator of this simple plan of merchandising was well compensated for his use of is synthetic imagination. 5. F.W. Woolworth made use of synthetic imagination by the simple procedure of setting up a retail store in which a large variety of merchandise retailing at 5 and 10 cents per item was offered to the public, and lived to see his merchandising innovation start a series of similar retail stores which grossed annually many millions of dollars in sales and made Woolworth rich in the bargain. Now, I shall give you some examples of creative imagination. 1. Edison's invention of the phonograph was the outgrowth of creative imagination because no part of his invention had ever been known or used previously. 2. Signor Marconi's invention of wireless communication was also the outgrowth of creative imagination because it was based on basically new ideas which never had been used previously. He was the first to discover the means by which the ether could be made to take the place of wires in the transmission of sound. 3. Madame Curie's discovery of radium was also the outgrowth of creative imagination because no one before her had ever revealed either the actual existence of radium or the method by which it could be recovered or refined. 4. Wilbur and Orville Wright's perfection of the modern airplane was partly the result of creative imagination and partly the result of synthetic imagination, because others previous to their time had discovered some of the ideas they used successfully, but they were the first to coordinate those ideas, so they worked. 5. Robert G. Letourneau made effective use of creative imagination by building heavy dirt-removing machinery, which involved ideas never before used, although he was practically unskilled in engineering and had very little schooling of any kind. I worked with Mr. Letourneau for a year and a half, during which I saw him in action many times when he was drawing entirely upon the faculty of creative imagination and receiving his ideas from sources outside of his own immediate education or knowledge. Now let me give you a few suggestions as to how you may be able to make profitable use of your imagination, keeping in mind that the faculty of your imagination, like every other faculty of your mind, becomes stale through disuse and alert through use. 1. Create a system of merchandising which can be carried on by the operators of gasoline filling stations throughout the nation, and you may make your idea yield you more profit than Clarence Saunders made from his Piggly Wiggly store plan. Perhaps the system would consist of items which could be dispensed by coining the slot machines. 2. Create a plan or system which will cause motorists to be as courteous and thoughtful of others on the highway as they are in their own homes, and you may cut down the outrageous death rate by automobile accidents and make yourself both popular and rich. Perhaps you might add to this idea some plan of engineering by which public highways would be so operated as to force motorists to drive with greater care. And you might also create some practical plan by which motorists of good reputation would be deputized as auxiliary traffic officers with two-way radios in their cars and authority to give tickets and make arrests. 3. Create a satisfactory substitute for cigarettes, and you may make yourself richer than you need to be. 4. Give me an acceptable method for taking these principles of success to children of the graded school age, and I will tell you how to make yourself rich both in money and in happiness, which comes from contributions of service which benefit posterity by improving the youth. Give me a plan which will arouse and alert people to recognize and make use of the potential of their own minds, and I will give you a job for the remainder of your life at pay which perhaps you never dreamed of getting. 6. Bring me an acceptable storybook, slanted to the interest of children from 6 to 12 years of age, based upon the 17 principles of the science of success, and I will ensure the publication and distribution of the book on a scale which will make you richer than you need to be. This idea probably can be best refined through the mind of a woman who understands children, loves them, and can speak in terms that will get their attention. And right here, in case you have not already recognized the fact, I am bringing you very near the point where people sometimes tune in on their creative imagination and come up with ideas which benefit great numbers of people and make themselves popular and rich. I am going to give you these suggestions solely as inspiration intended to introduce you to your faculty of creative imagination. all the good ideas have been used up, did I hear you say? Quite to the contrary, the best ideas are yet to be revealed and put into the service of mankind. There are no more opportunities to become rich, did I hear you say? Listen, please, for I have an answer for this one. The Napoleon Hill Associates are engaged in the business of helping people with sound ideas to bring them forth and give them to the world in return for riches. If you have an idea you think is good, write me about it, and I will give you my opinion of it. If you have a sound idea which you think will benefit those with whom or for whom you work, write me about it, and I will tell you what to do with it. If you have discovered a better way of doing anything, write me about it, and I will offer you suggestions for benefiting by your discovery. If you will give me an acceptable plan for influencing married people to adopt and use the mastermind principle in their domestic relations, you may benefit many millions of people in homes where harmony does not now prevail, and make for yourself a reputation worthy of a king's ransom. If you have a better idea or plan for the use of salesmen in any field, selling, your idea may help millions of salesmen to increase their incomes and bring you a reward worthy of the value of your idea. If you can create an idea which will help retail store owners to display their merchandise to better advantage so as to increase their sales, write me about your idea, and if I have played it sound, I will tell you what to do with it. I am still talking to you about exercising your faculty of imagination, but I am limited as to the number of ideas I can give you in so short a time. But I will give you some more useful ideas in my next visit. Imagination is a trait which becomes alert only by constant action based on the success principles I have described in these visits. You are the one who must supply this action.
I went to bed with a younger man because of my husband's erectile dysfunction. This simple tribal blood flow trick will make your member...
That's funny.
The
Hilarious.
rules of accurate thinking are so clear and simple that I often wonder why so few people ever take time to learn the rules, since accurate thinking is the very foundation of all successful achievements. In this visit, I shall give you a working description of the rules of accurate thinking, which all successful people follow. First of all, accurate thinking is based on two simple fundamentals. They are called inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is used when the necessary facts on which to base your thinking are not available. In this case, you act on hypotheses, or what you assume the facts to be. Deductive reasoning is used when you have the facts, or what appear to be the facts, on which to base your thinking. The next step in accurate thinking is to separate facts from fiction, or hearsay evidence, and determine whether you are dealing with hypotheses or real facts. When you are sure you have dependable facts on which to base your thinking, you take the second step by separating these facts into two classes. One is important facts, and the other is unimportant facts. When you do this, you may be surprised at the overwhelmingly greater number of unimportant facts you deal with daily than there are important facts. At this point, you are almost sure to want to ask the question, what is an important fact, and how can I distinguish it from an unimportant fact? And I shall give you the answer to this very important question by saying that an important fact is any fact which will aid you to any extent whatsoever in attaining the object of your major purpose in life. And all other facts, as far as you are concerned, are unimportant, and you should waste no time with them. After this visit is over, you can employ the next hour to a great benefit to yourself if you will set down on paper a list of all the facts you dealt with yesterday, separating them into two classes, important and unimportant. As a matter of fact, you will make a profound discovery regarding accurate thinking if you follow the habit of daily taking inventory of all the facts that claimed your attention during the day, putting them down on paper in two separate columns, one labeled important facts and the other labeled unimportant facts. Now let us turn our attention to the subject of opinions and see to what extent loose, unsound opinions are mistaken for accurate thinking. To start with, let us recognize the truth that most opinions are without value because they are based on bias, prejudice, intolerance, guesswork, hearsay evidence, and out-and-out ignorance. These are harsh words I'm using, and they represent the source of most of the tragedies of life which people meet with unnecessarily. And I would say that of all the tragedies which cause misery and failure, none is more merciless or destructive than those which grow out of the indifference of people who make no attempt to learn how to think accurately. I shall never forget an experience I had with President Woodrow Wilson while I was working for him during World War I. I asked the president what effect he believed World War I would have on civilization, and his reply was brief, but it was a masterpiece which you should remember as long as you live. I cannot answer your question, said the president, because I have no facts on which to base an opinion. If you will remember Woodrow Wilson's 15-word speech every time you are about to express an opinion about anything, the chances are that you will soon get out of the habit of expressing or even having opinions not based on something more substantial than biases, prejudices, and emotional feelings which often serve as fathers to facts. You will learn, if you observe carefully, that the more successful a person is, the less he is inclined to express wild, unjustified opinions about anything. Also, you must have observed already that the drifters who are suffering with frustrations because they recognize they are failures usually have an assortment of opinions on about everything you can imagine. When I hear someone expressing a definite opinion about something of which I have definite reason to believe he knows little or nothing, I think of an experience I had when I stopped a Quaker on the streets of Philadelphia and asked him the time of day. He took out his watch, examined it carefully, and then in a slow, emphatic tone of voice he said, "Well, sir, according to this alleged timepiece, it appears to be approximately 1 minute and 10 seconds past 12 o'clock. I was particularly impressed by the care with which this Quaker identified the source of his information which he was passing on to me, and I often thought afterward how beneficial it would be if all people who express opinions or give out information would take the time to identify the source from which they were able to speak. I cannot influence all people to engage in this sort of safe thinking, but I can suggest that you give it consideration in connection with this visit on the subject of accurate thinking. Now, I shall give you a simple rule which may help you avoid being misled by unsound opinions expressed by other people. When you hear someone make a statement which your reason cannot accept as being sound, or which you question or should, for safety's sake, question for any reason whatsoever, ask a simple forward question: how do you know? Then stand firm on that question and either force the speaker to identify the source from which he got the information he is endeavoring to pass on as facts, or reject the statement entirely as if it had not been made. And do this no matter who is speaking or what may be his reputation for truth and veracity. Remember, you are given as your richest birthright the privilege of controlling your own thoughts. Therefore, treat this divine gift with the profound respect to which it is entitled, and do not allow anyone to do your thinking for you, or to influence your thinking in any manner whatsoever, except by the rules of accurate thinking I am passing on to you. Follow this procedure regardless of what people think or say about your method of thinking. If they wish to call you a cynic or a doubting Thomas, let that be their misfortune. But for your own good, go right on thinking by rules which will save you from many mistakes and tragedies throughout your life. Now I will give you 7 rules to follow, which, if you memorize them and follow them as a daily habit, may bring you top rating as an accurate thinker. 1. Never accept the opinions of other people as being facts until you have learned the source of those opinions and satisfied yourself of their accuracy. 2. Remember that free advice, no matter from whom it is received, will bear the closest of examination before it is acted upon as safe. And generally speaking, this sort of advice is worth exactly what it costs. 3. Alert yourself immediately when you hear anyone speaking of others in a discourteous or slanderous spirit, because this very fact should put you on notice that what you are hearing is biased, to say the very least about it, and it may be out-and-out misstatement. 4. In asking others for information, Do not disclose to them what you wish the information to be, because most people have the bad habit of trying to please under such circumstances. Well-measured, tactful questions can be of great benefit to you in thinking accurately. 5. Remember that anything which exists anywhere throughout the universe is capable of proof, and where no such proof is available, it is safer to assume nothing exists. 6. One of the great unexplainable miracles consists in the fact that both truth and falsehood, no matter by what means they may be expressed, carry with them a silent, invisible means of identifying themselves as such. Therefore, remember this truth and begin developing the necessary intuitive faculty to enable you to sense what is false and what is true. 7. Follow the habit of asking, how do you know, when anyone makes a statement you cannot identify as true. Follow this habit faithfully, and you will see many persons squirm and turn red in the face when you insist upon a direct reply. The most accurate thinkers are the scientists. They investigate with open minds and never allow their wishes to become the fathers of facts, but deal with each fact as it is, not as they would like it to be. Now, one final word of warning I feel I should leave with you. Study yourself carefully, and you may discover that your own emotions are your greatest handicap in the business of accurate thinking. It is easy for you to believe that which you wish to believe, and unfortunately, that is precisely what most people do. This is a method by which many people condemn themselves to eternal failure and defeat, and it is a method which opens wide that sealed envelope which contains the list of penalties they must pay for neglecting to take possession of their minds and use them for constructive ends beneficial to themselves. And now, until our next visit, may I say goodbye.
How do celebrities like Justin Bieber and The Rock generate hundreds of millions of dollars? It's actually not what you think. They make...
All right, so basically that's the end of the series on Napoleon Hill, the Mastermind Masterclass. Okay, so this is part 2. This is the end of this segment, and the reason again I've done this masterclass is because I think people are lacking in very good morals and ethics, and it takes them away from being successful in basically employment and business overall, because as he states, going above and beyond can put you on notice as someone that is a go-to person, that they're gonna get the job done. They're gonna do it without any interactions, hardly whatsoever, any negative interactions. They're gonna take care of business and they're gonna get it done. When you become that person, the person that they call first, that's when you start to become successful. That's when you develop a name for yourself. That's where you, like myself, I get phone calls for jobs, and I'm like, people at my my job, they're like, man, I had to apply for this job and I had to go on a series of interviews and all of that. I got my job from a phone call, because I'm known in my industry. I'm known for basically being a go-to person to help people with their IT support issues. I don't even really that's not my first time getting a job just off of a phone call, because I'm known. My name is known, and they know I'm pretty much really good in my field. I'm trying to get out of my field actually and go higher, because I went to college for programming. I didn't go to school to be a IT support specialist or whatever. But that's I've talked about that plenty of times. But whatever you do, if you go above and beyond, That's part of a recipe for success, because when it come down to, you know, you getting a promotion, you getting some type of raise, they're gonna be like, okay, we're gonna pay that person because we know this is a good person. And then if they don't pay, you already know you go above and beyond. So you're gonna take that to another job that pays more, and you're gonna go above and beyond there, and you're gonna just keep rinsing and repeating, and you're gonna be successful. And then just don't, you know, this doesn't even just in business and employment. When you have that mindset in a relationship, of course, I'm not saying you go be a simp. Okay, I'm not saying as a woman you just be some type of um servant to a bum as a woman. I'm saying when you have a relationship where the woman is going above and beyond, you're going above and beyond, you know, she's going to, you know, and you got somebody worthy of going above and beyond, keyword worthy, right? You're going to have a situation where she's going to be happy, you're going to be happy, okay? And you know, you guys have some type of cohesive relationship. So those are some of the key takeaways from this mastermind class. I'm going to close this out. Hopefully you get something from part one and both part two, and it helps you kind of strive above. I mean, if you are already above, it ain't going to do nothing but help you. But if you are kind of on a lowly spectrum of things, this is going to be ammunition for you to become more successful.